The Pod Network Entertainment.
Keri kita.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Keri Kita. We are your guides into the gaming world, both hardcore gamers and hardcore parents. I am Ray.
And I'm Joey. Ang pag-uusapan natin today ay ano ba itong mga gaming communities na to?
Ayun, that's such a very special topic, and of course our very special guest for this episode is none other than Mr. Enrique Barrero, yan, a content creator and helper around Twitch Philippines. Give it up. Woo!
Yay!
Hello.
Welcome, Henry. Please introduce yourself. What do you do? What's your background? And of course, your gaming history and what you're doing as a gamer nowadays.
Okay. I am Enrique Barrero. I mainly come from a family where gaming isn't really a thing. It is only between me and my eldest brother. So the first games that I remember from like as early as like 4, 5, I was just on like our family laptop playing flash games like on Y8 or Miniclip and whatever. It is very simple. It's just very simple. I'd play with my siblings every time I'd get the chance. We also shared Nintendo Wii among the family, and I grew up with it for as long as I can remember.
So you come from a gaming family?
Not exactly. I mean, not to the extent, not to the level that I am right now.
Okay.
So like it is, it's not exactly like a major part of their lives.
Right.
Just like something they do to spend time with others.
Mm-hmm.
So like my gaming history isn't as great or super unique, and I didn't really grow up exposed to the same games as most people grew up with today, like MOBAs or FPS, like COD or League in general. I was only exposed to that later on, like in my life. So I grew up very casual. I grew up with like mobile games or just like downloading stuff on the Wii and whatever, playing Minecraft. Just very, very chill. Nothing competitive. That only came on around like 2016 when I was exposed to like one of my first few FPS games. Because normally I just watch, and that is like my first time ever like playing what was in back then. So I started playing CS back in 2016.
Counter-Strike.
Yes. I started playing CS:GO with my classmates back then, and oh my god, I used to play on like those generic work laptops, 60 frames with like a trackpad. Those were the days. I just like get home from school every day. Man, what a time! And then, along with like FPS history, I also have a bit of background in Smash Bros. Platform fighters. So of course I'd play on the Wii back then with Wii remote, so it'd hurt my thumbs every time until I started playing with an actual controller when the Switch came out. So that was pretty fun. I would stop my friends every time though. I was always the best among like my entire school, which is not very big, but I was the best. So I think I get to brag about that.
Congrats.
Yes. And fast forward a little, I just like kept up the same games as I did until like 2020, like the usual, like what is in back then, Smash, or like FPS, Fortnite sometimes if my friends like really wanted to. And then the pandemic hit, and I kind of changed communities over time, because like I kind of like lost contact with most of my friends from school as time passed. So then I found a new place sort of just like randomly browsing through Twitch, strangely enough, and it worked out for me so well.
Twitch.
Yes.
That was around 2020.
Yeah, I came back to Twitch because I had an account back in 16 or 17, but I only used it for like one channel back then. And after that, I didn't really have much of a need to go for it until the pandemic hit again.
Yeah. It's so much interesting, the background, but I think what's most interesting now is how did you end up, I think, as something kind of an admin or someone who works with Twitch Philippines on communities. Because my background, actually, I got to work with Henry, as we call him, in the communities. He's only what's your age again?
I'm 18,
Yeah,
turning
he's-
19 this year.
Yeah, there you go. He's only 18, 19, but he's already helping the Twitch Philippines communities. And I got to work with him intensely when we were doing this project for McDonald's. He was one of the unsung heroes there, who really activated and helped us out, activated in the genuinely, authentically in the Twitch communities. No, so how did that go about? How did you end up being working with Twitch Philippines?
In a sense, yeah, I do work with Twitch Philippines. Mainly, I don't know, I just kind of hang out with the people in there. But how I got to the spot that I am right now is a very, very, very long build up. It's like, we're talking about like a 2 or 3 year build up, and like even then, it's still like relatively small because Twitch Philippines in general is a pretty small place. That's why we're so tight knit. Like compared to other global or other game communities, where I would say we're relatively tight knit. That's why people feel a sense of connection faster than any other person would normally do.
Henry, I have a question.
What's up?
When you say you're in Twitch community, how did you get to connect with the people there?
During the pandemic, I just spent most of my day browsing through streams or chatting there. Because how I found one of my first few streams that I regularly hung out with was because I used to watch a bunch of international streamers, like if you're familiar with offline TV, or like relatively other smaller art streamers or voice actors who used to just stream every now and then with their community. I found one stream in particular where they were donating to random streamers who they'd find in their recommended. And after some time passed, I found their channel again, whom they visited, and they were playing Animal Crossing. And I found out
I love Animal
I
Crossing.
love Animal Crossing. That was my pandemic game. That was amazing.
I love Animal Crossing.
So I found them playing Animal Crossing on stream one evening, and I figured out that they were also in the Philippines as well. So I was like, oh, that makes it like a lot easier to connect with the people. And since then, it's just been like, from that one person, it just expanded into like so many other people because that person was also familiar with a lot more streamers around the area, and through chatting with those familiar streamers as well, I got to know more and more and more people until they became familiar with my name too, until they invited me to do a lot of other things. So if that one streamer who got me back into the community is listening, you know who you are. Thank you.
There you go.
I have another question for Henry. Parang interview? Interview ba to?
It is,
No.
it is. It's a-
No, but I am curious kasi as a parent, no? And I am definitely much older than Henry, even if he sounds very professional.
Like a sage. Actually, he
Like a
sounds like a
sage.
sage.
God.
So my question is, do your parents know what you do?
It is very, very hard to explain to them. I'm not gonna lie. It is really, really difficult. It took like so much convincing, so much, because this happened like a year later on. Because of course, like being in the pandemic, everybody's like isolated from each other. But then because I got back into gaming, I got back into Twitch, I also felt like a little isolated from my parents, and they also sensed that too. So I didn't really know how to explain it to them that I was playing with people online every day until 4 a.m. And yeah, it's just hard for them to understand.
But did
Because-
they eventually understand?
Yes, my brother helped me out with that a lot because I didn't have the heart to fully explain my situation to them. And so without my knowing, he did. He helped me out with that. And then at one point, there's kind of like a blank space in there until I can't remember exactly when, but it just kind of happened over time where they slowly became a little bit more understanding with my situation, with my interests, my hobbies, and they told me that they want to help out with it, or that they want to like encourage me to do it, because I told him that I was like meeting like a lot of new friends whom I've never felt closer with in my life, especially compared to my previous school friends. And they were okay with that. And then eventually it showed that it paid off.
That's amazing.
Amazing
It's an
story.
amazing story. So you said that your brother, and I'm very familiar with your brother.
Yeah, we're very familiar.
Who
because
isn't,
we work
honestly?
together. We work together.
A bit of background: the brother works in also in advertising. That's why that's how we all connected. But yeah,
My brother is a big gamer as well.
as well.
Yes,
yeah.
everybody knows him.
Yes. And I think it's pivotal for your brother to kind of be a bridge between you and your parents. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, he's like, I'm like the introverted him, basically. And it's quite fitting because I'm the eldest. I'm the youngest and he's the eldest.
How
We're
many are you in the family?
We're 5 siblings. So the age gap between us is 10 years.
And then he reached out to you.
Oh, he reached out to my parents first without telling me. I only found
Oh.
out later on because my parents told me like after some time.
So he reached out to the parents explaining what you were doing.
Yes, because he saw that I was having a hard time.
That's so actually we're talking about Joey the brother. No, so
We should invite him next.
I,
You should.
I don't know if if I can share this story as well, but when you were working with us professionally, of course, already as one of our resource persons for that McDonald's project, which was very successful, very award winning, he was actually messaging me on the side and saying, he was very proud that you were able to work with us very closely and you were a pivotal role in that project, and we were just very happy for you. He was very happy for you. So yun pala yung background. He
Yeah,
was
that's
really
a nice. But I didn't. This
Yeah.
is but the first time I am discovering
Yeah.
this.
Awesome.
But I think what's important in this story is that you said there was kind of like a gap between you and your parents because they did not understand what you were doing. Actually, Henry, up to now, my parents do not know what I'm doing.
Oh no, I don't tell them everything. Don't tell them I said that.
Yeah, us too, di ba? Everyone in the
They don't know what we're
advertising industry,
doing. We're just working, just accept that. But there was what I think your brother, who is a part of your family, who kind of bridged the gap, which is also important, only because he completely understood what you were doing.
Yeah, we're like both the two big gamers in the family. So naturally, he would understand.
Yes, and he was also in Animal Crossing.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe you can also explain to us in your journey, how do people get into the communities? Because a lot of parents for sure do not know, so that we can reach out to other gamers
Yeah.
out there who are, kind of being isolated from the family because of something that they truly love. Right?
So I think this makes it a very special and I think fitting platform to discuss this. But the podcast is really about reaching out to parents, just like Henry's parents who at first did not understand, right? So now Henry's here and we're very lucky to have him here and to discuss his journey, right, with us. So to Joey's question, what are these gaming communities? How do you get into them?
just for parents to understand.
So as for gaming communities, I would say that there are many places where you get to, I guess, share your interest or passion for gaming in general, because like games are hard to generalize. They're so hard to generalize because there's so many of them. There's so many different types. And so communities can sort of like merge into each other. So in a sense, a gaming community is just in general a place where you can share your passion, learn more, connect with others through games.
So, because you have a common passion, it becomes very easy for you to make a connection, right?
Yes.
Versus like a random place wherein you're kind of coming from everywhere. So, when you go into a community, it's very clear that you all love a certain thing.
Yeah, and because gaming is so broad, you can find so many links to connect with other people, which makes it like it's very likely for you to find at least like one group who will take you in and just follow you into the rabbit hole of whatever game it is you're in. And so it's not such a bad place. It's very fun.
Yeah, I myself am part of the Animal Crossing community. So, Henry spoke a while ago about Animal Crossing. So, siguro a bit of trivia for parents, no? Animal Crossing is a social game. So, it was really built for people to connect, and it became the game of the pandemic. The game of the pandemic because we were all disconnected, and Animal Crossing allowed us to hang out within the game,
Yes.
do things together, and then look for things together. Talk a little more about Animal Crossing.
Okay, so originally Animal Crossing is a single player, but because, well, the rise of the internet during the pandemic, there is no escaping the community, whether you like it or not, because the community blew up during the pandemic because it was so popular. Like the popularity of Animal Crossing combined with the popularity of the Switch in general, along with everybody being stuck at home in the pandemic, not allowed to leave, just made things work out perfectly for them. And so this naturally people would start out playing Animal Crossing by themselves because that's kind of how it's supposed to go until they wanted to just like share their passion or just learn more about the game in general, and it led people to wherever they are now in the game or wherever they are now in just like their general interest for the game, I suppose.
Right. I got into Animal Crossing because I was looking for this particular character. He was
Oh
a
my
cat, and I went into a Discord community. That was my first time. Hindi ko pa alam yung Discord nun. Sabi ko, ano ba to? But I really just wanted to get one character. And that's how I found out that the community was so big.
It's so big. It's very, very big.
And these are people, when you get into a community, Henry, are these people in the Philippines or around the world?
It's a mix of both, actually. Because I did find a good amount of people, like local people who played Animal Crossing a lot, and then I found like a bunch of other people through them who are international.
Is there a specific person who kind of held your hand in this entire community build up?
In which community, to be specific?
Any?
Any? A number of people.
Can you tell us about them? If
Okay.
they can stay anonymous.
Yeah. Of course, one of them is my brother, because since our family shares a Switch, we'd kind of like take turns playing Animal Crossing on our own accounts. And so then eventually he told me about, if you guys are familiar with the turnip trading.
Yes. It's
essentially-
like stocks trading.
It's like stocks trading,
It's like
but
stocks, but turnips.
yes, but
Yes.
turnips. And so there were Discord servers full of like turnip trading. There was even a website where
God.
people would post up their listings, and it's just it is what a time. But yes, that's how I got to meet a number of people online at first through similar interests in Animal Crossing. So he kind of helped me out with getting back into, I guess, gaming and just Discord servers in general. And then I kind of like, I guess I wanted to take my own interests there. And so like with my own different games that I played, or with different Twitch streams I'd watch with the communities. And then I was basically on my own from there, with him kind of like stopping by every now and then as well, because my brother is also like pretty familiar with Twitch. He used to stream as well.
Right.
And so I would tell him about the people I'd meet, about like the games we play, and he was also like pretty interested in them too. He was happy for me that I was meeting new people again. And then I guess like as more time passed, I didn't really have people holding my hand in terms of like the Twitch Philippines community. I was more of the person holding other people's hands, getting them back into the community, or I'd take turns and be the one like handheld to like introduce like bigger people or new people, or from getting into a game, the people who are they like familiar with that scene. So it's more of like an exchange.
That's great.
Yeah, super,
No.
super interesting.
I guess it's from being pulled into the community, and now you're kind of rallying people to get back into Twitch.
Pretty much, yeah. I'd say so.
based on your current, I think, experience, diba, with Twitch communities, what are the biggest communities now that you're may not necessarily be a part of, but one that you observe that parang, oh, this community is like super thriving. Ano ba yung mga best, like name just siguro the top three that
Oh, the Riot community, definitely.
Riot, yeah, the Riot.
It's especially with their launching of the home servers last year.
Mhm.
It's been rapidly growing because Philip, if you guys didn't know, Riot had their League of Legends home server launching sometime in February, either last year or 2022. I forget, but it was a few years ago today, if not last year. And so, since we finally had our own server, people got into the game or got back into the game because it made quality of life, or it made meeting people so much easier for them.
Wow, yeah.
So you say they're going back into the server to meet people?
Into the game,
Enjoy the game. Just
Enjoy
enjoy the
the
experience
game.
overall.
Riot, of course, are the League of Legends and the Valorant games, right?
Yeah. Both of those games communities are super, super big.
What do you
I-
think of those communities, Henry?
I think many things about them.
You have you have
Many,
lots
many,
of things to
many
say. Sige.
Some of which cannot be disclosed, but
Sorry.
in general, they're very big. It's a very big community, and you are bound to find your group. You're bound to find your place within them someday, for sure.
So you said I am also interested in, I guess, no, I would assume that most parents will not be familiar with these communities,
Yes.
and these communities, and when you go into a community, it's kind of like marami siyang maliliit na rooms where you find people who share the same interest as you.
Think of it like if like introverts were invited to a party. If you know what I'm talking about. That's
Right,
like,
oo.
if you invite like a bunch of introverts to go to a party, they're most likely gonna go. But the thing is, they're gonna be in like a bunch of smaller groups
Yeah,
throughout the area.
That's
That's
right.
kind of like what gaming communities are nowadays, which isn't so bad. It's nice. It's nice to have
Yes.
like your own
So
small
you're
space in
saying-
the corner of the room, just hanging out with your friends.
Right. So I think communities become like a sort of refuge for introverts. Kapag hindi ka masyadong mahilig mag-party, this is where you kind of go, right? Because you can find easily a spot where you can be comfortable in.
Yeah, in a sense, that's a good way to put it.
Right. So when you said Riot, and then there's an Animal Crossing community, I'm part of the Genshin Impact community because I actually am with my child, my daughter. We play Genshin together.
I used to play Genshin too.
Yeah. Oh, see. And now, I guess the next question to you would be, which of these communities do you think a child will be good to be in?
Ooh, okay. Hang on. I gotta think about this because I mean, like, if they're still a child, it'll be like pretty okay for them to go into like the non-competitive side yet. So, as you said, like Genshin is nice. It's chill most of the time. Stuff like role playing, sandbox, online multiplayer interactions. If you're familiar with like Minecraft, Roblox, stuff like that. Just like communities where you can pretty much do anything. And it's not entirely like competition based. It's not entirely like rank based where everybody is like competing against each other, where you can just like sort of collaborate with each other. It's good to encourage people to sort of just like have fun outside of competing, because I feel like that's very important for someone to understand.
Yeah, you brought that up about there are communities that are just chill. What are the not chill community?
not chill.
These are the competitive ones, right? Can you like tell stories about these non-chill communities?
Funny enough, also Riot.
Yeah, right.
I mean, like, to be fair, the community is very big. So there are certain sections or like certain
places of the game where it's competitive or where it's non-competitive. And so I guess the more competitive side would be like the more generic and well-known games like COD, Overwatch, Valorant, League, uh, TFT. I'm not. It's getting there. It's kind
So
of getting there.
what I'm hearing from you, Henry, is that there are basically two kinds. No, I'm going to simplify it just for parents
the
to
parents, yeah.
understand.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, let's keep it simple.
I know that it's not as simple as we want to say it, but if you're a non-gamer parent, we tend to simplify things just for them to kind of dip their foot into the entire idea.
It's good though because please stop me from complicating things because I tend to do that.
No, but when we speak as gamers, kasi gets. But when you're kind of explaining to non-gamers, we need to be a little simpler.
True.
So there's the cooperative community, collaborative communities.
Yes.
These are Genshin Impact. I would think
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing,
Minecraft is a very popular
Minecraft.
one.
Roblox is very big also. And these are communities wherein people help each other find things, get formulas for stuff, or trade turnips.
Yeah, just like gaming for the sake of gaming.
Yes.
For fun.
For fun and for meeting people, right?
Yes.
And then there's the competitive community wherein you have leagues and guilds.
Hmm.
And then you tend to kind of fight against each other.
Yeah.
So tell us a little more about that.
I guess like in the competitive side, competition also builds bonds. A very
that's
different
great.
kind.
Mm.
And that's also it's also how people find their friends. Because like competition is very, very tough sometimes. But like people can also share the similarities within like their journey as it's like competing in like whether ranked or regionals, tournaments and whatever. I feel like bonds are very important.
Siguro, a great analogy for something like this would be UAAP.
Yeah.
No?
Mm.
UAAP is a really great parallel because then you will have the Ateneo Blue Eagles
Yeah.
and then they share a bond. And then there's the De La Salle Green Archers and they share a common bond. And the UP Maroons and so on and so forth. And you tend to kind of, defend, you fight for your own banner.
Yeah.
And it's not very different when you get into gaming. The same bonds happen and the same trash talking happens.
Of course, that's the highlight of
That's the highlight. Yeah.
it's a package deal. You cannot avoid it, whether you like it or not. But it's fun. It's very fun.
What are there like positive? You talked about some positive effects of like being in this competitive communities, but what should parents watch out for?
Yeah.
If it affects your personal life, it affects your personal well-being as well. That's the point where they should, I guess, kind of step in or guide their child.
How?
Because,
How do you know? Yeah. How do you know about?
it will eventually reflect on their personal behavior, like whether they trash talk more, whether they're like their mental well-being is more fragile than it used to be. You will, well, I think even if you're a parent or not, you will definitely see over time, if you spend enough time with somebody, how their exposure to different things will change them as a person, whether for the good or the bad.
Have you experienced this, or have you seen someone in the community go through something like this?
Both. The changes weren't permanent, of course, but I've seen it happen. I've had it happen to me too before when I used to try and get more competitive. Emphasis on try, by the way. Not for me. Competitive gaming isn't a thing for everybody. It's
That's
completely
true.
fine for
I
you
don't
to
like
not.
it also.
Because like it's okay to be bad at games. It's completely acceptable to be bad at games because it's just for fun. If you want it to be.
True.
That's true. That's true. I am not a competitive gamer. Ray is.
I also
I also try to be emphasis on try.
Yes.
Because but a lot of factors really work against me, i.e. age. Anyway,
reflexes failing.
Aging reflexes. But yeah, that's a very interesting topic to talk about. No, yung the one you mentioned where not everything has to be competitive. Not every game, not every player has to compete. It's there just to have fun. I think that's a very good point to understand for both parents and for your kids as well, right? To be able to ground everyone, I think there will be kids who will be naturally gifted when it comes to competitives, but it doesn't mean that you're taking the fun out of the game, because I think siguro mas maraming ang hindi competitive, diba? And it's great, it's perfectly acceptable to suck at games, and it's great to normalize these things, no?
Mm-hmm.
Uy!
Then,
Tigil niyo muna yung pakikinig ng show na to, ha? Oo. Ito po ang The Cool Pals.
hello.
Hello sa inyo, sa mga nakikinig
Tumingin ka sa
ng
camera.
podcast na to.
Hello.
Hello sa
Hello.
inyo.
Hello.
Ito po ang kwentuhang inuman lang, long table inuman, may uupong guest, at makikipagkulitan sa amin. Ganun lang po ang podcast namin. Kaya kung trip nyo makakinig ng mga lasing,
Ayaw umiinom. Parang ayaw mo na mamilit kung gusto nilang ano.
hindi, bahala na sila. Tapos pag nakinig sa atin, magre-reklamo.
Huwag ka na lang makinig. Ganun ba?
Papatanggal nyo sa trabaho.
Hindi.
Hindi nyo gustuhan.
Hindi yan.
Huwag na kayo makinig.
Sige.
Huwag na.
Dito.
Bumalik na kayo sa show na.
Yun na,
Hindi
yun na
kayo
yan.
pupuntahan. Huwag kayo pupunta sa show na.
Ano?
Pero kung gusto nyo makinig, punta na kayo sa The Cool
Pwede naman.
Pals.
Ganda naman eh.
Di ako minom.
A while ago, you were talking about there's a personal experience of you being in the community. Are there other stories that you have from a community where you kind of support one another or the other side na parang, tatrash talkin ko tong league na to kasi lahat sila mga laos, ganon.
I feel like at one point, the community that's supporting each other and the community that's like trash talking each other kind of merge because we're so big. Like we're so big, and at one point or another we're like bound to interact with other people who will be part of one side or the other. And so like it's kind of like a gray area. It's sometimes it gets a little hard to like see through them in a sense. But generally, like majority of the people here mean well, and they just want to like hang out and have fun and make friends.
You spoke about making friends.
Yes.
There's a statistic that specifically in the Philippines, the main purpose of social gaming is to meet people and make connections.
Yes, I am part of that statistic.
So, I am curious, Henry, do you meet these people that you meet in communities in real life?
At one point I did, yes.
How do you meet?
I guess when enough time passes, we just like kind of share socials like Discord, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and whatever, whichever people use nowadays the most. And so we're just like, hey, we play games together every day. You want to like actually meet each other in person at some point in time. And so that's how I met my first ever friend group back in 2021. I still have pictures from there. It's like, we were a lot of people.
Wow,
How many
that's
were
awesome.
you?
We were like more than 10.
And then you kind of decided to see each other in person.
Yes.
And you said this was your first friend group.
Yeah, this is my first ever friend group on Twitch, online in general.
Online. Yeah.
Amazing.
That's great.
Where did you meet? If that's not prodding too much.
We went bowling.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you met in what game? Animal Crossing?
We met, we all met in Twitch actually.
Twitch.
Yes, because among our friend group back then, a few of us streamed, including me, because I was encouraged by them to also start streaming as well. And so we kind of like grew a connection through playing games together.
And then when you met each other in person, what was your initial reaction to these people that you only met online?
We were all very excited. Naturally, like very
awkward because we're actually talking to each other in person now. We can't just like type out emotes in real life, can we? Unfortunately.
That's awesome.
How do you do emotes in real life?
I don't know. I if I could, I would.
Just do like this. No,
God.
how did you? I mean, you thought. I mean, I'm really curious about the first meeting.
Ooh, the first meeting it's just very fun. So, we all came together one by one. It was like smaller groups traveling together to meet like all in the same spot. So then we were all very happy to see each other for the first time. We were all like, "Oh my god, it's you!" Ah! and then, yeah, and like we were all just like enjoying, just playing, just like bowling together. And then after we went out, we all hung out at my place, just like playing the guitar, singing songs,
Wow.
all doing like a stream together.
Doing a stream. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
No? You
Like
met
we're
Are
just-
they still your friends?
Until now, they are. We're very close to each other.
That's amazing.
awesome.
Yes.
So from being an isolated introvert to finally being part of a group.
Yes, I became a non-isolated introvert.
Exactly. Connected introvert.
Or a
Yes.
group of, what do you call a group of introverts?
a group of connected introverts.
Yeah, non-isolated introverts.
But see, that's what we were discussing. You know, that's what we're, I think, looking at on this episode. You know, the benefits of joining a community, a gaming community, and what it can do to your lives.
I think kasi when we were young, I guess wala pa kasing gaming ng panahon namin, no?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
our gaming back in the day, and I think that will reflect to some of the parents as well listening to this podcast, is it's a very solo experience.
Solitary
Yeah.
experience.
When I started gaming, I was alone. There was no internet connection.
I mean, like, that is really how gaming starts out.
Exactly. So I was playing against the community, against the computer, playing Tekken 2. Tekken 2.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Tekken 2. I was playing Tekken 2 alone versus the computer. And so your parents begin to believe that, hey, you have no social life. You're on your own.
Exactly.
And they begin to worry,
Yes.
right? They be-
It's natural, I feel.
Yeah, and then there are people who are born introverts. Like me. I am also an introvert.
Yeah.
Right?
Me
And
Me too.
yeah, we are
We
all
we
introverts.
all we all started to play, you know, by
And then you
ourselves.
grow into a community. You grow into a social being. Like me, I'm semi-introverted now. And these games kind of help you become part of something. So when the I guess what we are trying to dispel here, talking to Henry, is the fact that when you play games, sometimes these can be stepping stones into finding friends, finding somewhere to belong, and finding somewhere to be relevant in. Right? No? When you met your friends for the first time, were they exactly how you pictured them to be as their avatars? No, just kidding.
Most of them were quite different because I've already seen their faces before we met in person. Of course, some of them are quite different from what I expect them to be. Same thing they said for me. They're like, "Whoa, your hair is so long." I was like, "Yeah, I've been growing it." So yeah,
But
But-
was there an instant acceptance?
yes, there was.
So that's a
Because
great thing, no?
that's a great-
We've all spent enough time with each other at that time to just like say like, I don't care how you look, because like we're just like all enjoying things together.
So that's all, you know, that's a great point about spending time with each other.
Yeah.
That's already quality time, right?
Exactly, because again, I go back to the olden days when we were all expected to be at some point introverts, because the standard was to be social and to be an extrovert,
Yeah.
whether you be in class na nagpe-present or nagsasayaw, or sa reunion na kailangan mong kumanta, 'di ba? And
Until now.
right, but I guess now with gaming and with these communities, they allow you to actually just be yourself and find someone who is like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the personality of like being like a nerd for gaming is much more acceptable than it used to be. which I
That's
find
true.
cool.
That's true.
And especially with gaming communities now where you have, lots and lots of gaming communities, diba? Somewhere, I think you've mentioned this earlier before, Henry, no? There will always be a gaming community out there who will accept you.
Yeah.
There will also be some.
Yeah, just Animal Crossing alone, there are people who are making tiles. There are people who are trading turnips. There are people who are betting on different characters. So surely you will find someone or a group where you belong to.
Yeah, all it takes is just a bit of time and a bit of luck.
I have another one. When do communities become toxic?
Yun.
Ooh, okay.
We're going into that, ano na.
When they become toxic, I guess there is a sort of point you cross in time where you lack boundaries because you're online. And so like it kind of like, I guess, warps your perception of social interaction. Because like if you're online all the time, naturally like your perception of socializing with others will be adapted into like this sort of situation where you're always like digitally present, but in a sense I guess like it kind of like desensitizes you to how people are actually supposed to be in person and face to face. And I've seen it happen time and time again. It's happened to me too. And so like I guess it becomes toxic when people just don't know how to behave in front of others, or when people's actions, whether direct or indirect towards them, let them get to their head too much.
I have also built communities of my own, and I've seen this happen. So, how do the communities kind of help each other through something like this?
They talk it out directly, I guess. So naturally, when you're having a bit of trouble, you come to your friend for help, and you ask them like, hey, this blank is happening, what should I do about it? And if it's with a problem with like another person, they will likely encourage you to talk it out directly, privately, just solve things out, hear both sides. And I think an important thing about that is compromise or comprehension. It's very important when it comes to like problems like those, with like social interactions with communities like those. And if it's not those two, then I guess worst case scenario, I guess there's kind of in bad terms with each other, and the community kind of like falls apart a little.
Right. So when can a parent step in? Is it never? Just kidding.
No, not never, of course. I feel like a parent can step in if their kid asks to, if they understand the social situation they're in. Because even though parents don't exactly understand gaming most of the time, they will most likely understand the social situation that their child is in.
Oh, that's so wise. No, that's such a wise advice.
How?
They will understand.
Yes, because the circumstances are different, but the situation is most likely the same.
Yeah.
What example?
Let's say you're arguing with a friend, or you don't exactly have the same views on something, and so you argue about it, and then it kind of like becomes like a little heated, and so you're not in good terms with each other, and you don't know how to mend that connection that is like sort of being jeopardized because you two are arguing about something that you don't share the same views on. And so let's say parents can step in with their knowledge of how to deal with having differences with people, and so you can apply their knowledge or your knowledge on how to address it properly.
Right.
Yeah, I
because
totally
these
get
are
it, yeah.
interpersonal skills involved, and parents will be fully equipped even if they do not know about the circumstances of digital connection,
Yeah,
communities,
it's a different
or
platform.
gaming.
The platform's different, but the situations are
Oo.
the same.
The situation is nag-away kayo ng kaibigan mo. And itong kaibigan mo na to, hindi ka niya maintindihan kasi magkaiba kayo ng pananaw, right?
Kunyari, magkaiba kayong gustong character. Mga ganyan, di ba? Ganyan. Nag-away kayo about a character.
Or hindi mo siya hinil. Hinayaan mo siyang mabaril.
Mm.
Diba? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it always goes back to, you know, what we've been discussing the past podcasts as well. Na, you know, you have to be there. You have to be there for your children, because you don't know exactly the extent of how you understand. You already understand the situation they're in. Right?
You may not understand gaming, but you understand your child.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So if there was any point, I think in your case, Henry, it was your brother who reached out to you, and then became a bridge for your parent.
Yeah.
What would was there any point in your experience where your parents could have been of help?
Yes, definitely. There is no exact, I don't have an exact specific point in time where they could have been of help, though I feel like, I guess I could have handled things better with them. But because I was so absorbed in like the new world that I was just exposed to, I felt like neither of us understood enough about it to kind of ask for help, because we didn't know what to ask help about. We don't know what to ask help for. And so like we didn't know ways to support each other.
Yeah, and it took somebody who knew both worlds
Yes.
to mend the gap.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's important about this story.
So many interesting stories that we're discussing right now. And again, I would like to remind the listeners to type in all your comments, suggestions, questions, most importantly, on that mechanism we have on Spotify. You'll find it there. You can type in anything, reactions, and everything. We'll try our best to give our points of view. Siguro before we delve any further, I'm curious about myths, no? Gaming community myths. Are there some of the myths that you want, I think, dispelled or, you know, busted about gaming communities?
I wouldn't say myths about the gaming communities, rather stereotypes.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are certain stereotypes, certain gaming communities. Like what we mentioned earlier, that gaming is all like introverted, or like you're all by yourself. That is definitely not true, especially with how prevalent that internet can be now. Well, like you can't escape the internet. It'll always be a part of your life
That's
at
true.
one point. Like whether like it's daily life or just interests and hobbies, the internet is like bound to get you at one point, and very quickly and very deeply. So like I want to get it out there that, for example, the community of, let's say like League. I think like League is like one of like the super major communities out there. It's all around the world. Because it's MOBA, of course, they're bound to be toxic, for sure. There is no way they're not. But I think that people are too scared to get into the game because they fear the community that they're getting into, and they fear the game itself sometimes, of course. But I feel like with every good side of the community, with every bad side of the community, there's always a good to it. Because I feel like there can't be any bad in the community without there being any good. And so the myth that I kind of want to dispel about the game is that not all games are inherently bad. That you will always find some good out of it eventually. You just have to be, I guess, a bit lucky or a bit perceptive.
You will find your spot.
Yes. At one point or another, you will find your spot.
Right. It's a great place to belong, I think.
So you were saying earlier about there are lots of different communities. Each game actually already has their own communities. Is it also true, no, that even devices, right? Even gadgets have their own communities, right?
Yeah, they do, for sure.
Yeah. Can you tell us more about that? Like, are you exposed to all of these? Like, for example, I mean, I have been exposed with these, yung mga the Sony community, the Sony PlayStation communities are like always
The
fighting
Nintendo
with
Switch community.
All
Switch
this
community, the
fighting with it.
Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is very, very like big, especially in terms of
Oh.
modding, like custom mods that people make for like
Oh.
the games or for the device itself.
What are the most elite thinking communities out there in your experience?
Ugh, that is hard for me because I never got into those myself. But from what I see, a very elite community, you say. Cameras, photography. It's a very number one. It's expensive. Super, extremely super. Oh my god, it's so expensive. Number two, people require a super good eye for it. Like whether it's trained or whether it's talent, you need to have like an extremely good eye. I feel like the very elite communities online would be like photography, the pro scene,
The pro scene,
the
yeah.
pro scene especially. That's a very
Yeah.
The esports pros, no?
yes. And in terms of like, I guess being elite, it's mainly
The cosplay community.
cosplay community is also a very tough thing to get into.
It's also kind of toxic.
Yes, I've heard a number of stories from my friends as well where the cosplay community can be like very, very toxic.
Yeah. So these are, I think, to parents out there, no, it's not just gaming communities. There are peripheral communities around gaming
Yeah.
related to gaming.
Yes.
Say, for example,
Audio as well.
audio,
Yeah, very good,
photography, cosplay, even crafting and toys.
Yes,
Yeah.
and like even like performance arts, like whether you're being like a dancer or like an instrument player or singer, those are very like refined communities. As in like they have so many layers to them. Like you can very clearly see the distinction of like someone who does it as a hobby and someone who does it professionally for like years and years. Someone who has so much experience in those fields. You can definitely see the gap between those two.
Yeah. One such example of a mainstream, I guess, a crossover, no? And I'll just bring this because she's very popular. Is Bella Porch,
Ah, yes,
right?
yes.
Bella Porch is a TikToker, very, very huge, probably the biggest, who is also a gamer. And then sometimes those interests collide. So sometimes gamers go to her community.
Correct.
And
yeah.
then her gaming interests sometimes spill into the mainstream community. So they
Yes.
kind of coalesce.
So I guess like because you're famous, you build your own community, and eventually those communities get big enough to like attract other communities, and that's kind of what happens.
Right. Yes. So we've talked about communities and being a part of something. So if I'm a parent, Henry, how do I know if my child is in the right community or hanging out with the right people?
It'll as enough time passes, you'll see it reflect in their behavior around other people, because they spend so much time with so many different people online that eventually it'll rub off on them. Their mannerisms will kind of match or like adapt to the situation. And so you can just like really see it in their day-to-day life and I guess their mental outlook.
Right. So when I guess a lot of times we have seen this, we have said this in previous podcasts where yung pagkakakilala mo sa anak mo matters. And then when you start seeing shifts in the behavior, like say for example, bigla siyang nagmumura. Hindi naman siya dating
Hindi naman siya.
nagmumura.
Yeah, correct.
Then,
Parents would tell me that too.
then you know he's hanging out with the wrong people.
Yeah.
So I guess parang ano rin, barkada sa labas, 'di ba? Kapag nababad influence siya, nakikita mong nagbabago siya. He's, I mean, a sweet-tempered child suddenly becomes a little more rough, then you
Mhm.
know he or she's probably hanging out with the wrong people.
Yeah, I mean that was also me at one point, but like not because I'm hanging out with the wrong people, but also because like it's kind of inherent in gaming where you feel like a lot of things, and so I guess that behavior is because I changed a lot throughout the pandemic. Like I had a bunch of different phases, and my parents and my siblings also saw all of that. So at one point, they did get concerned, as any other parent would, to be fair. And in a sense, I do understand their intention of like Henry, your behavior has been changing a lot. Like, what's going on? And I'm just hanging out with different people. That's all. And they I feel like the worst thing that you can do to like address that is to limit their use of whatever
Yeah.
they're doing to communicate. I feel like that's making the problem worse because now like they don't have anywhere to take out their anger on. They don't have anybody to, I guess, guide them through it except for the parents who, well, just limited your social interactions because you're online a lot.
Right? So it's kind of cutting off your bloodstream, right?
In a sense, yeah.
So we've been talking about this in the podcast a lot. Instead of being villains to your children, you can be allies.
Yeah. Like you don't exactly have to fully encourage everything that they're doing, but if you encourage it within reason, if you see the reason as well, then I feel like it's a good sign.
But never like completely cut it off. Yeah,
Oh, no,
we've
no,
been
no, of
discussing this. Yeah, first of all, you'll be a villain. Second, they'll always find a way around it.
That
and
was
then
me.
yeah, exactly right. And
So
then
many
you'll start
stories about that.
and then you'll start thinking that the kids are actually better than which shouldn't be that diba? You're trying to find a way technologically about it, and then you'll finally you'll feel superior about it, diba? You'll feel superior to your parents, which becomes very, very dangerous over time.
Yes, it does. I would find so many ways to just like get around my parents' limitations back in the pandemic. I don't know if they'll be listening to this or not, so I shouldn't disclose anything else. Oops. My
Yeah,
bad.
but we've heard stories of very creative ways of getting around VPNs and passwords and so on and so forth.
Technology is so advanced nowadays, your kid will find one way or another that you will not comprehend in the same time as they do.
And that's a warning to parents.
And that's never.
Do not
no.
ever think you are better than your child when it comes to technology. And I think that's a good way to cap this
The discussion.
discussion.
Thanks so much again, Enrique Barrero, right here in the house. Thank you. Clap.
You might
Thank
think he's an introvert, but
I
he's
am.
part of a very big community of non-isolated introverts.
True. I don't know how I got here, but we're here for the ride.
That's so awesome. And good luck to you, Henry, on your gaming journey. Good luck
I
to
mean,
everyone.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And also, I guess, let his journey be a very, very good story for, people, parents to be part of, bridging gaps between you and your child.
So again, parents, carry
Carry
kita.
Carry kita.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.